Hello, 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 sellers. Come on in, come on in. We're going to be talking about the eBay fees that are going up. And for some sellers, they're going to go up. They could potentially go up quite a bit. And that's why I want to talk about it. And the other thing is the sellers have messaged me saying, Kathy, please talk about this so that we can, figure out what to do. Because that's really the biggest thing. Because they're going to do it. It starts March 30th. I'm going to explain to you all about it. And what some sellers are doing, because the change isn't happening until March 30th, they're sort of kicking the can down the road. Like, hey, it's not till the end of March, so I don't have to think about this. But there's homework that you need to do, and there's things that you need to think about. And the sooner you get going on it, the better, because that way you're not going to be rushing at the last minute. And also that way you're not stressing at the last minute. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. So I'm Kathy Terrell. I love to be selling. And the change that I'm talking about is the change to eBay's promoted listings standard. And if you're not aware of this, there are three different kinds of promoted listings. So there's promoted listings standard, which is what most sellers use. And then eBay does have what's called promoted listings express, which is for the auctions. And then it has promoted listings advanced, which is the pay-per-click. And what I'm going to be talking about is promoted listings standard. And it is the one that most sellers are using. It is optional. It is not mandatory. You do not need to do it. But what's developed with promoted listings standard for most sellers, when they first started it, which I think now was like 3 or 4 years ago, it was optional. It was new. eBay was trying it out. And at the beginning, it was only for top rated sellers. It was just for eBay store owners. Then it became for store owners and top rated. Now it's above standard. So they've been rolling it out, expanding it. And if you listen to the eBay earnings calls, what you'll discover is that promoted listing standard is a huge driver of revenue for eBay. eBay makes a lot of money from sellers paying for ads on eBay, which is really what you're doing. It's run by eBay advertising. Promoted listing standard is a function of eBay advertising. You are paying for promoted search. Now, that being said, eBay is going to promote listings that it feels are of interest to the buyer, because bottom line is eBay's interested in getting the sale, because eBay doesn't make money unless there are sales. Promoted listing standard is not pay-per-click, even with the changes that they're making. It is pay per sale. The buyer has to click the item and buy the item that they see in a promoted listings placement. But this is what is changing, and this is what is going to make it so much more expensive for most sellers. Right now, before March 30th of 2023, the way promoted listings fees are calculated is a buyer sees an eBay listing in a promoted placement. They click it from the promoted placement. And if you don't know, you should go onto eBay, like log in from a desktop or log in from your app. And when you see items that say sponsored on them, that means you are seeing an item in a promoted placement. Okay. So the buyer sees the item in a promoted placement. They click it. They buy the item that they see in the promoted placement. This is the current way eBay promoted listings works. You're assessed a fee. You're assessed the fee at the rate that you have selected. Sellers are in control. What is changing and can potentially really increase your fees is they are now changing, as of March 30th, 2023, the way they calculate what is called a halo sale. So right now, you're only charged for a direct sale. Buyer sees the item in search. They see it in a sponsored placement. They click it. They buy it. Okay. Currently, before March 30th, if I see an item in search, it's in a promoted placement, I click on it, and I then go to another one of your items and buy it, you're not assessed a promoted listings fee. Well, that is changing, because eBay realizes that promoted listings is getting us sales, and we're not paying eBay a promoted listing fee for it because the buyers are landing on one item and then going to another item and they're buying that second or that third item. So the way it'll change after March 30th, as of March 30th, 2023, is halo sales, which means the buyer comes in on your listing. Then they go to any other listing that you have that is in a promoted listing campaign. So any other listing they go to as a second click. So they look at the cell phone case and then they go to the pen. If they go to the pen and it's in a promoted listings campaign, you will pay promoted listings fee if they buy the pen after March 30th. Now, if you only have a few things in promoted listings and the bulk of your items are not in promoted listings, it's not likely that your fees are going to go up dramatically, because if they go from cell phone case, which is in promoted listings, and then they bounce over to pen, which is not in promoted listings, you don't get a promoted listings fee. But if the bulk of your listings are in promoted listings, and this is true now for many, many, many sellers. Why? Because it works. You get better placement in eBay search. It gets you more sales. So many sellers, because promoted listings has been around for a while now, have just about everything in promoted listings. But you don't get all your sales from promoted listings, because right now we have what's called the halo effect, which is they come in on one item and then they buy another item, and the other item was not in a sponsored position. But with the change, and this is why I'm warning everybody, and I'm telling you, you need to do your math now and you need to look at your dashboards now, is if the majority of your items are in promoted listings, that means after March 30th, you could potentially be paying a lot more promoted listings fee, because if they land on one promoted listing item that is in a sponsored placement and then click over to any other item you have listed that's listed with promoted listings, you will pay a promoted listings fee. So you need to know what you're getting yourself into. Go to your advertising dashboard. It's in Seller Hub. Look at how many sales you get. Look at what your fees are. So I'm selling this amount. This is how much I'm paying. Then look at how much you've sold in that same time period. What percentage of your sales are coming from promoted listings? And then do the math. If it's half and all your items are in promoted listings, that means you could potentially, if you don't change a thing, pay literally double what you're paying now to promoted listings fees. And remember, they're in addition to your final value fees. Now, don't forget, you still will get organic search. So just because you put something into a promoted listing campaign, does not mean that eBay doesn't show your item in what's called organic search. So you still will get free search results for your listings. But I'm saying is you do want to prepare yourself, so there's no rude awakening of what you're paying now, what percentage of your sales come from promoted listings, and then do the math to figure out how much your fees could potentially go up. And then you need to look at, do you have the margins, which is how much you're making after you pay all your fees and your shipping and everything? Do you have the margins to absorb that? Some sellers, they will. Some sellers have killer margins. Other sellers, it's going to be a hardship. So then you've got to analyze your situation and decide what is the best choice for you. And I'm doing this video early March 6th. This will not go into effect till the 30th. So you've got a couple weeks, and you need to take the time to look at your numbers. A lot of sellers are going to say a lot of things, and people are going to share what they're doing, which is great. But everybody's business is different. It's what is your profit margins, how many of your sales come from promoted listings, And if you don't, like you may only have a few things in promoted listings. You may only get a few sales every month from promoted listings, and you don't have the majority of your items in promoted listings. So it will have a minimal effect on you. But for sellers to get a good chunk of their sales from promoted listings, like a third to a half, even a quarter, to potentially double that, you really need to look at what the fee increase could potentially be for you. And the numbers are there. You're going to look in your advertising dashboard and you're going to look at your paid and shipped, and maybe you'll be able to figure out the math. Okay. And then make the choices, start to think about the choices. Because again, this doesn't go into effect until the 30th. So that you've got plenty of time to think through what is best for you. And also when you're looking at your numbers, you might see, like in certain categories, you might get a lot of promoted listing sales, like in clothing, but not a lot in toys. Or you might get a lot in toys, but not a lot in clothing. So be sure to look at that. Look at the different categories that you sell in and what your results are in each of those categories. And I've got some things to show you. So if you want information about these changes that are happening, it is on the eBay advertising blog. Okay. So what you want to do is search seller announcement, promoted listing standard fees are changing. This is on the eBay ads blog. This is where the information is. It is the most accurate information about these changes. So that's where you want to go if you want to go deep in the weeds and see everything and analyze it. Okay. So definitely take a look at that. And the other thing I want you to do is go over to my website, tobeselling.com, because what I've done is I've actually been in meetings and talking to eBay staff about changes that are coming, to go over everything and to really understand it and to really break it down, because I don't want sellers to be surprised, and I want sellers to know, to have an idea of what their fees can potentially be, and to strategize now about what solutions are going to be best. And to do that, I did a free tip sheet for you, Winning with Promoted Listings. And I've included tips in it about how to deal with these changes that are going to be coming. So hop over to my website, ilovetobeselling.com, and look for Winning with eBay Promoted Listings. And it includes bonus content. I've got 3 pages for you on how to deal with the March 2023 changes. So hop on over and grab that and put it right to work so that you're ready. And that way, when the change comes on March 30, you're ready. You're not surprised. You have a very good idea of what you could potentially see in your invoice. And also that way you're not running around on March 29th to try and get up to speed on this. Is take the time now. Take a look at the eBay ad blog if you want, and grab my free tips, Winning with eBay Promoted Listings. Okay, great. I'm Kathy, and I love to be selling. Bye-bye, everybody.